Hello everybody and welcome back to the Fortress of Solitude. Today we're going to be checking out Darth Vader issue 41 by Greg Pak and Raphael Ienco. Vader falls under the control of the Scourge this issue, but in a real neat, if a little predictable twist, Vader fights back and gains control of the Scourge himself, separating the Scourge from its head in the hive mind and using the small piece that still lives within his cybernetics to turn his own droids against the Scourge. This is the type of story I was hoping a huge part of the event would be, us following a single cyborg like Darth Vader as they battle against the Scourge within them, and we get to explore that sort of dynamic of the Scourge trying to convince the being to turn to them and become part of the Scourge. But why it's happening in the final tie-in issue to the event is just beyond me. Of the final tie-in issues I've read for the Dark Droids event, they've all been pretty crappy in the part that they've just kind of breezed through a lot of storyline or presented us with an idea that seems really interesting, but something that should have been done a lot sooner in the event so that we could have explored it a little bit more. Pak's work here isn't crappy, it's just disappointing that it, again, didn't happen sooner and allow for us to have a couple of issues with the Scourge inside Darth Vader's head trying to use his mind to trick him into joining the Scourge. The Scourge was around him throughout his tie-in in this book and trying to like combat him and everything, but I do like the idea that it was acting as like the devil on his shoulder more or less in this issue, and that's what it should have been through this entire event. Vader, with his new Scourge power, flees to an Imperial outpost and takes over the droids there, taking their minds into his, much like how the Scourge does, and it causes him great strain, something the Scourge tries to play against Vader to convince him to join the Scourge hive mind. This was another cool idea by Pak, and I like the idea that Vader for a brief moment had the power of the Scourge. He could feed on the minds of these droids and sort of eat them and take them into himself, but doing so causes him that great strain because he's just not ready for that power of being able to control many minds at once. And it's happening to the Scourge as well, as we've seen in the main book, where it's becoming shattered because it's just got so many minds to deal with and it can't spread itself out enough to cover all of these minds. So it's kind of shattering itself in a way, and it doesn't want that to happen to Vader, although we obviously know it kind of does because it just wants to use Vader as a tool, much like how Palpatine wants to use him as a tool. And there's a great dynamic there where the Scourge believes it's not like Palpatine and it can help Vader defeat Palpatine and they could be best friends and everything, but Vader immediately sees through it and sees that this thing is just like his master, trying to manipulate him and everything, and it's just a great dynamic, and I wish we had more of it. Of course, Vader is able to defeat the Scourge with a huge display of dark side power, thus ending the threat for him, for now at least, as Pak leaves us off on a tease for the next arc, which brings back Governor Tontaza, Admiral Corleque, and Sly Moore, who are all seemingly forming their own empire to take on Palpatine's, and they want to recruit Vader to their cause. I'm excited for Pak to bring these characters back. They were all really unique and interesting villains for Vader to face off of, Admiral Corleque being the most latest villain, and I love that we've seen sort of the ramifications of him failing in that mission where he had to kill Vader and the Executor, and he now has like a metal jaw thanks to surviving the destruction of his ship. So I'm really looking forward to seeing all of these characters come back for revenge or something against Vader. The only problem is this is just yet another rebellion sect of the Empire, you know, going against the Palpatine and trying to take over the Empire sort of thing. Something both this book did and the Kieran Gillen run before it did as well. Those stories in the past were at least really great, and I know Pak will deliver an action-packed story that might give us some more cool little tidbits about the Sith and the Empire and lore on either of them, since he's done a really good job of exploring the dark side through this character. Darth Vader ended its part in the Dark Droids event with a really cool concept for an idea, being infected by the Scourge and it acting like the devil on Vader's shoulder, but like the Aphra and the Bounty Hunters tie-ins before it, it was done way too late in the game and would have been a lot better had we spent a couple of issues with a possessed Vader and the dynamic that came from that. I'm going to give this issue a 7 out of 10.